Good day and welcome back to another World of Warcraft video. In this video we're going to talk about when Season 2 of the War Within is likely to release, along with also a list of the content that you may want to try and attempt before then, and obviously, just in general what you may want to look at having done. So we'll start with when is Season 2 going to begin. Season 2 of the War Within should coincide with the end of the Turbulent Timeways event on the 26th of Feb. It's not 100% guaranteed because they would have firstly announced the date if it was 100% guaranteed, and secondly, they obviously don't like to confirm things too early, as currently the content is on the PTR for testing. But generally speaking, the Turbulent Timeways event is something that is supposed to tie people over and up until just about when the next season releases. So around about the end of Feb, maybe even the beginning of March, around about here. So the 26th or 5th of March. That will generally be when Season 2 releases. And so players should have until then to be able to gear up and complete their content. So what content do you need to have done? Well, there is a difference between content that's not seasonal and content that is seasonal. I'm going to focus first on content that is seasonal. So this is content that is not available to complete once the season is over. So either you then have to get the mounts from things like Trading Post, or you have to get them from other methods. But basically it's rewards that are not available once the season ends. To start things off, we are going to talk about the Mythic Plus. So basically Mythic Plus, or your Mythic Plus rating, is going to be determined based on the Mythic Plus dungeons that you've done. Should you achieve a Mythic Plus of at least 2000 during the War Within season, you will receive the title The Tempered. Should you attain a Mythic Plus rating of at least 2000, you will also receive the mount, the Diamond Mech Suit. So these are seasonal rewards. Once the season's over, the only way to get these is if they add them to the Trading Post, etc., etc. The other limited rewards is the Luminous Nerubian Catalyst Stone, which obviously requires you to attain a Mythic Plus rating of at least 2500, and that is basically the special item that allows you to grab a heroic piece of gear. So that should cover Mythic Plus. If you end the War Within Season 1 with a Mythic Plus rating in the top 0.1% of players in your region, you will also earn the Tempered Hero title. In terms of rating rewards, there's not anything too crazy. The main thing would be the mount, obviously the raid, dropping gear, etc., etc. But the main thing would be the mount from Queen Ansurek on Mythic difficulty, the Reigns of the Ascendant Skyraiser. It's not a guaranteed drop, but it is a drop that nonetheless has an increased rate during the course of its season. It should receive the same increased rate during the end of expansion when they make everything a forged raid, which should give the rate back up. But until then, you'll have to wait. So if you're interested in farming them out now, or just in general clearing the reigns of the, clearing the raid, that's going to be your ticket out of there. On top of that as well, of course, as always, there is the Ahead of the Curve achievements, which requires you to defeat certain bosses on heroic difficulty before the end of the expansion. So that's something I'm going to try and do now before things get too late. Been waiting for my friends to come back, so yeah. But basically, you're going to want to do that. On top of that as well, there is the story mode for the raid, which should still be available without it, but the heroic loot you get from that raid, which allows you to create a heroic piece of gear, is only going to be relevant for now. So try and do the story mode as well. In terms of PvP, there's quite a lot that you can get from PvP within season. So there is the PvP transmog, which is obviously something that you can only get during the course of the War Within Season 1, based obviously on, you can see here it even says limited time set, based obviously on reaching certain rankings. So if you reach a 1000 rating, you get the cloak, 1200 legs and braces, 1400 gloves and boots, etc., etc., all the way up to 2100 being the prestige cloak, obviously, which is pretty cool. On top of that as well, there's also the weapon illusion, which is something that will give you the luminous Nerubian stone, which is the same one that you got from the Keystone Hero. So it's just another alternative route. On top of that as well, this is your bloody tokens and war mode gear, being the relevance of your PvP gear. And of course, there are 2 mounts that you can earn during the course of the PvP season based on your rated ranking. So you have the Vicious Skyflyer or Skyflayer mount, which I don't know if it will show here. There we go, the Vicious Skyflayer mount. This is obtained by winning rated matches during Season 1 while at 1000 rating or higher. These mounts come in an Alliance or Horde version, etc., etc. And then you have the Gladiator's Fellbat. So the Gladiator's Fellbat, which is not showing here, but the Gladiator's Fellbat is also a mount that you can achieve or get by winning 50 games as a Gladiator rank within the season in 3v3. It also comes in Alliance and Horde versions. On top of that, there are quite a few titles you can earn. You can earn Combatant by getting a PvP rating of 1000, Challenger, PvP rating of 1400, Rival of 1800, Duelist 1200, etc., etc. And then you get Battleground Blitz as well, and you can get special cloaks from achieving certain ranks during the course of the season. All of this can be much better tracked through your player-through-player reward system and rankings, and you can track everything that you get through here as well, and it'll tell you what you get at your next ranking. So that's at least pretty cool, and obviously something that I think a lot of players will want to do. So definitely look into PvP if you're a PvP player. Otherwise, if you're not, you still have time to get into it if you want to. There is still quite a few weeks left. Then the last bit of major seasonal content with the War Within is Delves. Yes, Delves have seasonal content. So with the War Within, there are a couple seasonal challenges for the Delves. So the first one is the Nemesis achievement. This is to defeat Zakthia within his lair before the next expansion. So basically, this is to defeat Zakthia within his lair before the next expansion. You then have Undying Caver, which is to defeat a tier 8 or higher. You also have Hunting the Hunter, which will give you the Ascension Breaker title, and Let Me Solo Him, which is also for defeating Zakthia in his lair, but on the secondary difficulty. Let Me Solo Him is the hardest challenge probably from the Delves, and it basically will give you a special appearance for your dirigible. So it's pretty tough, I think, overall. Honestly, it's really quite difficult. So I think it's one of those ones that, you know, players are going to have to really try to get. But yeah, basically it's quite tough. So that's the Zakthia stuff. It is seasonal, so you're not going to be able to do it once Season 2 starts, which obviously means there will be some changes. And with that, obviously, I highly suggest that you try to max out your seasonal rewards, you know, get your Great Vault rewards, but try to max out what you can get from the Delves during the course of this and grab your schematics for your dirigible as well while you can. Definitely something to partake in. So that should cover all of the seasonal options. Now, of course, there is still a whole bunch of other stuff that you really should be doing before the start of the next season. So one of those is the Siren Isle. It's something you should be partaking in and trying to complete on whichever characters you feel it's necessary. If you complete all the content in the Siren Isle, you can max out a ring to 658, I believe, which is going to be pretty helpful. It'll help you in current content as well. So definitely partaking in the Siren Isles is something super important that basically will give you a great way to obviously boost your character, as well as also just continue a little bit of side content in the War Within. Next we have, of course, the quest line. So we have a couple campaigns, the War Within campaign and the Lingering Shadow campaign, which is obviously the next step of the campaign. And you're going to want to complete both of these before the start of the next season so that you're up to date with the story. It is really, really good. This character is not done with it, but it is really, really good. I highly suggest that you partake in it. It's something that's really cool, really awesome, and honestly, there's really no reason to not partake in it. So I think for the most part, you should try and definitely get into it. It's really cool, and finishing it on one character will let you skip with all the other ones. So, you know, it's not like you have to do it on every single character. Of course, the next one is going to be Renowns. Maxing your Renowns with the current factions is going to be important, as with the Undermined content we will be receiving a new faction, and a lot of the rewards from the starter factions are not going to be helpful. From the crests, to the Harbinger crests, to the Valor Stones, to all of the upgrade materials, a lot of them are not going to be helpful to you when the next season starts, as the gearing will go up in terms of tier and a lot of these items won't be useful, even the purchased items. So definitely I would suggest, if you want to at least get usability out of the resources you get, you probably want to grind the Renowns to max. You should be relatively close. If you've been playing quite regularly, you should be able to get there quite easily. Then of course it is the Turbulent Timeways event itself. It's a really, really helpful event that's great for leveling your alts, as well as also getting yourself geared up. Max level characters can take the Shrouded Path Through Time quest, as well as also any raid time walking quests if they're available, and that basically gives you 2 free heroic pieces of gear a week, which means if you do this during the course of the event, you should be able to have a fully heroic geared character without touching a heroic dungeon, or depending on your RNG with the drops, giving you a nice advantage to hopefully join into heroic raiding and get your ahead of the curve achievement. So definitely something to take a look at. I highly suggest you do this. It's really, really helpful. The Turbulent Timeways event is pretty easy. I'll leave a link to my video on it. It's something that's quite accessible. And then finally, obviously just last couple things will be to level alts. So if you have any alt characters, there's a Turbulent Timeways event buff, which we've spoken about already, which gives you a huge buff to your characters. You can use it to level your characters to max level and prepare any alts you want to use during the course of Season 2. On top of that as well, you can look at adjusting your character's tree and skill sets. You can look at taking on the Mage Tower during the Turbulent Timeways event, and of course you can just continue to enjoy the game. There will be Plunderstorm, there will be some events like the Lunar Festival during the course of this time, the Lovers in the Air Festival, and just in general there will be some pretty good stuff that players can partake in. So don't panic too much, there will be plenty to do with your characters, and I highly suggest you look into things like maybe farming the Fell Cycle, collecting mounts, just a whole bunch of really good stuff that you can do. At the end of the day, just because Season 1, it doesn't mean all the content's disappearing, but it does mean that your chances of you flying around Kazalgar are going to be reduced, because you're going to spend most of your time in the Undermined area more than likely, which means obviously you're probably not going to spend as much time here. So all the achievements like exploration, collecting your treasures, finishing side quests, etc., all of that can be done now, and I highly suggest you do it now, as it's something that's going to help you out a lot. So yeah, and of course unlocking the Earthen, which, you know, most players should do. That's it from me. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next one. So then, take care, stay safe, and bye.